Draymond Green came out and said the other day that Philadelphia fans they're going to tear apart Paul George if he doesn't play well for them. And I think, first of all, I think Paul George is going to have a pretty solid season for the 76ers because, he gets to be, maybe the third option on some nights where he doesn't have to take on the entire scoring load. And he didn't have to do that for the Clippers either, but he was second option there behind Kawhi. And Kawhi was injured quite a bit. And, Kawhi's always just kind of dealt with injuries. So Paul George was asked to be the number one scorer a lot of times for the Clippers. And he can do that, but then that's going to be a negative to other assets of his game. Because as a forward, well, yes, he is one of the best, ball handling forwards that we have seen. He ultimately, he plays really smooth. He serves best as not a guy you want on ball every single play. So having guys like Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey able to take some touches away, I think that's going to be really beneficial for Paul George, and it's going to help his overall impact on the offense, and I think he'll be able to focus more on the defensive end of the floor. So for beginners, I think Paul George will be really good for Philly this year. And I like his fit a lot there because he's definitely better than Tobias, because Tobias is just a scorer, nothing else. So Paul George is already a huge upgrade from that. But in terms of what Draymond Green said about Philadelphia fans, to me, it's really interesting because Philadelphia is one of the bigger markets in sports, but a lot of times stars might want to get out of there. They might not want to play there in the first place. And I think that is just because of the culture of the sports fan base in the city. It is one of, it's considered toxic, especially Eagles fans. That is a term that gets thrown around a lot because they can oftentimes kind of see the glass half empty. They can be really negative, boo their own team because they don't like the product they see on the field, on the court. And so I think that plays into the fact that Philadelphia is a big market, but sometimes stars aren't going to want to play there. And so I think it's just, in general, an issue with the culture of the city. And do I think it matters much in the long run? No, because as long as you can build a competent basketball team, and in professional leagues, guys are going to be self-confident in themselves, you can hopefully kind of drown out that noise and be able to focus on your job, and that is playing. That is actually being on the basketball court and doing what you need to do there. So you can kind of drown that out. But in general, I think stars are going to have a harder time drowning that out over in Philadelphia than they would somewhere else. And that's a big market thing too. The lights are too bright. But I think it happens with Philadelphia more just because of the culture of the city. And once again, I think Paul George will be fine. I just think it's interesting how I view Philadelphia as a major market compared to something like New York, where, yeah, it's a big market, but the culture of the city, it makes people not want to go there as much as they would somewhere like LA or New York. If you enjoyed this video, it would be great if you could find it in you to like, subscribe, maybe check out the full podcast on Spotify. Follow us on there. Follow us on Instagram. I know realistically this podcast isn't going to go anywhere ultimately, whether it's via the segments on YouTube or the entire podcast itself. But I want to get into the sports broadcasting business. I want to be able to promote thought-provoking discussions about the NBA, and I would love to do it via State of the Association. Thank you if you made it all the way through.